right, folks, welcome in the ring. Good to have each and every one of you here with us. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. We want to know if you're hearing us loud and clear, wherever you're joining us from this evening, folks. Loud and clear. You can see us loud, you can see us clearly, you can hear us loud. Please and thank you. See us clearly and hear us loud. Wait for it to subside, and then the audio is better. Good to have all of you on the live tonight. Sabrina Blue, Akato, or Aketo, or Aketo. Dolly Anderson, good to see you there. Michelle Limerick, good to see you as well. Sandra Hanover, Leonard Finance. I see Kay Padmore is here with us too. Folks, our final broadcast for this week. And then we have a long weekend. It is our Republic anniversary weekend, folks, on Sunday, 23rd day of February. And it's going to be MASH on Sunday. And so Monday's the holiday. We're going to see you guys back on Tuesday. Raquel Gentle says the bell is loud. And Raquel, thanks for mentioning that. I'm going to try to pull it down a little halfway. Pull it down a little bit for you all. Pull down that volume. Good to see all of you on the live, though. Good to have all of you this Friday evening joining us. I see Geraldine Simon is here. Rajin Bim is here as well. Rajin, Everett Tudor, Sister Mercy. Good to have all of you. Gail Alicock, Raquel Gentle, Deborah Sharona Lynch is on the live as well. Folks, we are delighted that all of you are here with us, fired up, ready to go. You hit the ground running this morning. You got a lot of things right during the course of the day. And here we are now. Folks, just past the 8 o'clock hour at our end. Sister Mercy, good to see you there. What's happening in our country? We're going to try to give you guys a snapshot. We're going to try to give you guys a snapshot. What's happening in the country, folks. And that being said, it was Raphael Trotman. I don't know if somebody said it before him. I don't know if somebody said it before him. Let me slow down. But I know he said it. I remember him saying it. Politics is the art of giving blows and taking blows. Politics is the art of giving licks and taking licks. Some people think you're always in front. Sometimes you're at the back too. Please and thank you. Well, between the Alliance for Change and the People's National Congress we formed today, folks, in their press conferences, the people took some licks. You see, when lies are exposed to facts and truth, can't stand up. It cannot stand. It just cannot stand, folks. It can't stand. It can't stand. 'Tis the season. 'Tis the season, good folks. I had it and then I didn't. 'Tis the season. We hope that all of you are well. Sister Mercy and Michelle Limerick. This is what it's all about here, Ballots in a box. The folks don't care if you know, if you appreciate, or you don't. How they get there? As we know, you had 47 boxes, 47 plus boxes up on the East Coast alone that did not have the required statutory documentation. But I blame us for allowing that to pass. You think them boys would let it pass now? I blame us for that. But as I said, you don't always be in front. Sometimes you're at the back too. You got to give licks, take licks too sometimes. Give blows and take blows sometimes. You can take a few punches, but you must land a few punches as well. Good to have all of you on the live tonight, folks. Good to have Darlene Gwyneth, Sharon Glenn Roberts, good to see you there. Kevin Joe, good to see you as well. And I see Gwyneth Jones, all of you wonderful folks. Desmond, good to have you on the live as well tonight, folks. As we begin, what's this massive layoffs about in this country? We were doing the summation. We were keeping record of the folks this government fired when they came in. And I understand you have some political appointees, fair enough. In any administration, you got to go. I understand that. But in some instances, Beatrice, Pam, Akibakas, as soon as you look at them boys a little too wrong, you're gone. If you're a sweeper, you got to keep your head on the floor. They're even there to side-eye them. You're gone, you're a driver. You cough the wrong way, out you goes. And so we were told, folks, we were told in the National Assembly quite recently that these guys fired 2,800 folks. And this was just in the public service. It didn't account for soldiers, teachers, doctors, nurses, policemen. It didn't account for that. And so we weren't wrong. We weren't wrong when we said, look what's going on here. Look what's happening over so. You all think them boys easy? They're not. Let's hear former Finance Minister, the Honorable Winston Jordan, on this matter. Take a look. The opener. Take a listen.
Minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, told the National Assembly that between 2020 and 2024, 2,832 people had resigned from the public service. Former Finance Minister Winston Jordan said that this is only a fraction of the number of resignations from the service.
But he made it very clear that he excluded teachers who are not part of the public service and members of the disciplined services. And he also excluded people from the constitutional agencies who may be part of the public service, but because of their independence and autonomy and the way how their budgets are budgeted, he claimed he did not get the numbers.
Jordan said that the numbers were readily available. He continued that there were a number of other agencies outside the traditional public service.
This 2,832 people who he claimed resigned in the 4 years or thereabout between August 2020 and August 2024 only concerned the so-called civil service, the years ago civil service, right? Those who worked in ministries, departments, and regions. And for those who remember, my good friend who I know is on this live, departments were like the Inland Revenue Department, the Customs and Excise Department, the Audit Department, the Accountant General's Department, the Lands and Surveys Department. Those were what were deemed to be departments. And those were in the civil service.
The people who were identified as having resigned were in the ministries, departments, and the regions. The number doesn't include teachers, nurses in the Guyana Public Hospital Corporation, and members of the disciplined services. The number also doesn't include those in statutory agencies like the Guyana Revenue Authority, the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, and the Environmental Protection Agency. It further doesn't include people from the public corporations.
Large numbers of these people who would have resigned, in fact, the bulk of these people who would have resigned would have been people of African descent.
The public service, as defined by Ashley Singh, will have no more than 8,000 people. The number also excludes those who were fired in the purge when the PPP came to power in 2020.
Yeah, that was the man himself, former Finance Minister Winston Jordan. You know, when Finance Minister Jordan left office, inflation was 0.9. Inflation now about 15. It means you could have done more with the money in your pocket. To put it simply, you could have done more. Now you're doing less. Everything gone up, sky high, cost of living. Every year you're guaranteed your salary, increase in salary. Every single year, among the other benefits. And because your salary was increasing every year, you could expect when you retire, that pension was going to be bigger, or is going to be bigger. We got to treat people well in this country. We got to treat people well in this country. I saw a video, I'll show it to you in a bit, circulating with our soldiers. Sad state of affairs. Very, very, very sad state of affairs. Seeing them, bringing them out of the Kuyuni there. My Lord. We're in a bad way. Some of the equipment look outdated and old. We got to update them. You tell me we got a little skirmish on our borders, is stretcher and mattress and so on, we thinking? Come on now. And as we're on budgetary issues, I told you folks, we'll have to scrutinize this budget for a long time. Because it's now the money starts spending, it's now the real scrutiny starts. It's not only in that 1 week we spent quizzing them back and forth. Lots of instances like MP Ganesh, Maipol, and I did. We got to go on the ground, look and see what's happening. Look how the project's going. Hold them accountable, hold their feet to the fire until the very end. When we kick them out of office, Brian and Desiree and Asquith, as I said, we are on some budgetary matters as we begin tonight. It's Friday night, it's a light evening. Judy Fernandez was telling us as they were discussing a new piece of legislation for better and more efficient, competitive banking. We got to go in a totally different direction. We have to go in a totally different direction. I don't know whose fault it is. But I told you all during the week, I sent some money from my MMG from my bank to my MMG 3 days ago. It hasn't meet yet. I got a receipt that the money left my bank account. The money can't meet MMG yet. And that's one of the easy things to fix. Y'all think it's easy in this country? Y'all think it's easy in this country? We got to demand more. We have to demand more. And that's part of what MP Tarita Finance has been demanding on her own stead, shadowing the finance portfolio. Take a listen to some of what she said about this new legislation, where we ought to be heading, where we ought to be going. Take a look.
Member of Parliament Tarita Finance, commenting on the Financial Institutions Amendment Bill, made the observation that despite the tenfold growth in the economy, the number of banks in the country remains the same as it was.
We have created a protected, highly profitable cartel that serves the interests of a few while extracting excessive fees from the many. Every member of this House knows the complaints coming from their respective constituents: high fees, limited access to credit, poor service quality. These are the real issues we should be addressing before we move to the amendment.
She said that the amendment raises serious interactions with the laws.
Because under current legislation, an entity registered in Guyana is deemed to be carrying on business here and therefore subject to our tax regime. How does this square with the bill's definition of representative offices that supposedly don't conduct business? This ambiguity could create uncertainty for foreign institutions considering establishing a presence here.
Rather than oversight, the country needs the licensing of 2 new banks, she said. She said that this would break up the profitable cartels currently in operation.
We need genuine competition that will drive down fees, improve service quality, and expand access to credit for our people. Not just some of our people, but all our people. Competition that will force our banks to innovate and better serve our growing economy.
As it stands, Guyana is finding it difficult to attract international banks. Guyana needs to question whether the absence of certain legislations that's preventing these banks from seeking to come forward.
An international bank may hesitate to set up operations in our fast-growing economy because of our regulations and institutional framework are underdeveloped and are unstable.
Weak legislations don't offer a favorable climate for international banks.
These inconsistent regulations, moreover, the weak enforcement of contracts and unclear tax policies increase operational risk and compliance costs for international banks. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, since our banking sector is dominated by a few entrenched players, new entrants may face significant barriers to competition.
Ms. Finance said that without a stable environment, the international bank may view the risk of entering the market as outweighing the potential reward.
Another deterrent for our international bank is the potential for macroeconomic instability in fast-growing Guyana. Rapid growth can sometimes lead to inflationary pressures, and we understand fully that we have looked at inflation in Guyana over the last years from 2020 to now. Also, currency volatility or asset bubbles, which pose significant risk to financial institutions.
You know, just a couple of the things there that these institutions look for when they're coming into your country. How they're going to set up? You know, a couple of other businesses coming, but the banks different. You know, banks not running in easily at all. One of the things they look at is that corruption perception index by Transparency International. How you all fare? How your institutions fare? How you all do with corruption and so on? We got to bribe officials to set up. What is the doing business score, ease of doing business and so on? How does that look? People want a lot of information. A lot of information that is not readily available from these guys. A lot of information. Corruption. You think banks want to come and see you just dropping all the time on the the corruption perception index, and then you blaming somebody 5, 10, 15 years ago? You blaming Burnham since 1985. Burnham closed his eye. You still blaming him for your lot in life? Something's wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. As I want you all know. Let's talk a couple of things internationally. We circle back home, right? We're going to circle back home, and then we taper off. Trump. Good folks, it's all about Trump. Like I'm fed up. I see them boys say that they have signed no formal agreement. Hazel, Pinky, Avril, Renella, Sheena, Raquel, they have signed no formal agreement in dealing with third-party states in terms of deportees and illegal immigrants who the U.S. trying to get rid of. They've signed no third-party agreements for third-party state citizens. Well, you know them boys. I saw a number of Venezuelans have arrived back in their country, shipped home compliments of Trump. I wonder where all those folks going. I wonder where all of them are going. Mark, Linda, Pinky, Vanell, and Avril. It's a lot happening on the international stage. A lot happening there. And for the Haitians, they said Trump has revoked their temporary protected status. This facility is known as TPS. And the numbers, 500,000, he says he's not going to be renewing. It's like a permit you have. He's not going to be renewing this. 500,000 Haitians could be heading to Guantanamo, Panama, Uruguay. Could be heading here for all I know. You know, when we talked about having this is Amanda's forte, some kind of a immigration policy, they don't want to take us seriously though. Enter Trump, and everything, guys, upside down. We might say upside down. Upside down. As we're in Haiti, as we're in the Caribbean, let's slip over to Trinidad. You know, let's slip over to Trinidad. CARICOM is meeting. I think today is the final day of the heads of government meeting. CARICOM, they're meeting in Barbados. Trinidad got terrible crime like us. Some people say they surpassed us in the brutality of it. But here's a woman, 67 years old, Drupati Chance. She was killed during a home invasion in a place called Moruga. And this has caused renewed calls for increased security in communities. You got to protect your citizens, please. Said she and her husband, Chance and her husband, they were tied up, beaten, robbed. 2 masked men broke into their home on Wednesday night. Their son later found her lifeless body, partially undressed, raising concerns that she might have been sexually assaulted too. 67. You would tell me you got a devil loose in this world? Named Trump? You don't got a devil loose? Please. A lot of things come with oil, you know. We only want the glitter. We only want the glitter. Let's shift over to CARICOM quick before we circle back. Oh, the time is running tonight. Smash that emoji button for us, folks. Please and thank you. Let's shift over. Secretary General of CARICOM. You ever heard of quiet power? This is Dr. Carla Burnett. Quiet power. And she has been calling, especially through this recent heads of government meeting, she's been calling for citizen participation in pushing regional integration. I can help you. I can help as a citizen of CARICOM. I can help. Under the team Strength in Unity, the heads of government meeting has emphasized inclusive growth, resilience, sustainable development amid all these global challenges you all see us having here. And they're saying that CARICOM is advancing trade reforms, food security initiatives, and democratic engagements with key elections set for 2025. Pim, pim. Pim, pim. But she wants, she says, citizen-led regional integration. Is that a slight to say these leaders here only talking and we ain't getting nothing done? She says the focus should be on youth, labor, civil society, with CARICOM aiming to make integration more citizen-driven and impactful. And that's what she's saying. This talk tends to go no place. You know, this Haiti affair is not going anywhere. This haute couture event, it's not going any place. We're going to shake it up a little bit. We're going to have to shake it up a little bit. You know, good or bad, give Jackie jacket. Give Jack his jacket. Trump can change something. Give Jack his jacket. But think about, in comparison, the systems that Irfan Ali and the PPP are just comfortable with perpetuating. Nobody was rocking the boat, you know. When they came in, the Ministry of the Presidency was that. They come and they put it back to what it used to be, Office of the President. That's where we are. That's the kind of change we're talking about. People went in the public service. People go into the public service. You wait 3 months to get your pay. Tabitha, Foreign Minister of the Public Service, Tabitha Haley, made some strides in trying to getting that changed. And was in the cusp of doing it. What the Granger government, led by Tabitha in this regard, did was say, look, when these public servants come in, let's put them on a month-to-month contract initially. And when they get sorted out, then they go on the fixed, as we say, as a buffer. If you come in the public service, if I come in the public service for 3 months, I can't get paid. You ask me if you go Lambert Street or King Street or something like that, or North Road now. And you all know this old body won't fetch Ain't fetching much like it used to. I give up the streets to the young one. That's what you're asking us. That's what you're asking us. Right. So this thing, criminal integration, citizen-led, that's what she's saying. Dr. Carla Burnett. I feel like since as a little boy, we're talking about integration, like we ain't getting there. Like we ever learning, but we never come into the knowledge of the truth. Ever learning. That being said, folks, tis the season. Right? Tis the season. And GCOM is advising us. GCOM say, you better pick up your alarm. You register, but that's part one. How you can register? You never look back for your ID card. You know, some of you are different. You go and sign up for a passport, then you forget about it. You pay the money and everything. You did the interview, carry the thing, and you got the little ticket. It's a come back. When I tell you come back, but you never went back. Some of y'all a little different, you know. Valerie, Evelyn, I hope it's not y'all. Savage Tish, Pinky, I hope it's not you. Mark, I know it's not you. GCOM advising citizens. So got a lot of ID cards on hand. You know, this is a good problem. Because we know people registered, but come on now. It's not the first time I see GCOM put out this here. Folks, y'all got to pick up the pace a little bit, you know. Y'all got to pick up the pace a little bit. Pick it up a little bit. And that's when GCOM, I heard the General Secretary of the PNCR raising the issue recently of claims and objections, raising the issue of the voters list and what could be done. GCOM says, pick up your ID card. You want to advise your kids. Some of you, your grandkids. Paris, I got me thing. Leslie said some of them dead. Yeah, people dead within the cash grant. Pick up your ID cards. Right? I see St. John saying, who picking up ID card for dead people? June St. John Passat, who picking up the dead people ID card? You waiting so long, you just get vexed and you say, all right, I'll get you another time. I can catch you all another time. Some of y'all get vexed. Folks, here is the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Mr. Sharon Benjamin, raising this issue again of a clean voters list, right? And making the point too that claims and objections is not the only way to get dead people off the list, etc. Making the point, making the arguments. Take a listen. Take a look.
The claims and objection process is incapable of cleaning a bloated voters list. Last week, Attorney General Anil Nandalal, in an act of deception, offered the ridiculous argument that because GCOM's recent report showed that no claims and objections were received from the opposition, then no tangible evidence exists to substantiate the claim that the voters list is heavily flawed and unfit for holding credible elections. Let us again expose the deceit of Mr. Nandalal and his party. First of all, the claims and objection process is not designed to handle large volume of objections and cannot therefore purge the list of tens of thousands of names in excess as a result of debt and fraud. The burden of proof, however, requires the objector to provide documentary evidence of the debt or fraud. How then does Mr. Nandalal expect the death certificates of Guyanese who have died locally and especially those overseas to be easily obtained or at all. He is not unaware of this insurmountable difficulty. But even more, how does Mr. Nandalal expect any person, or more so the opposition party, to obtain records of transactions performed by justice of peace that confer citizenship on migrants? Is Mr. Nandalal willing to bet his job against the fact that many of these transactions are either improper or illegal? Secondly, our case for biometrics and a clean voters list is far more substantial. We contend that the voters list that is almost the size of the entire Guyana population cannot provide a basis for credible elections. The 2020 election proved that with the high level of voter impersonation, Mr. Nandalal falsely claims that we provide no evidence to support this charge. Let us therefore remind him that in September 2022, nearly 2.5 years ago, he announced with great fanfare that he had written GCOM to require the documents submitted by the APNU plus AFC as evidence of voter impersonation during the 2020 elections. He then promised the nation that once, I quote, "Once I receive the document, I will pass them on to the relevant agencies with the request that an investigation be launched to verify accuracy or lack thereof of the information contained in those documents," end quote. The Attorney General has since gone totally silent on the matter. We again call on him to report to the Guyanese people whether, one, he did submit the APNU plus AFC documents to the relevant government agencies for verification, and two, what are the formal responses from those agencies? Thirdly, Mr. Nandalal should tell this nation, how is it mathematically possible for the government to be given cash grants to 200,000 plus children in an estimated population of 750,000 and still have an over 18 voter population of 738,000 persons? He should not speak again on this matter until he answers these three questions.
Folks, I try to keep a straight face. Y'all think there's one thing wrong in this country? There's so many things that are out of place. Confusion powder reigns supreme. Confusion powder, folks, reigns supreme. Enter Deodat Indar. Enter Deodat Indar. Folks, Travis Chase. HGPTV Nightly News. Another good place for valid and credible information. I was made to understand them boys pressuring the owners that if they want to earn, they're going to let Travis go. I've been made to understand it. I hope them boys hold strong. But Travis Chase had an interview with a gentleman who said he was being paid by Indar. And Indar not supposed to be working with a particular company. Jagju said he was assured, the government was assured he had severed ties with this company. At least there's a conflict of interest. But this young man presented the information. Now I tell you the story. Nigel used the lines will change. Nigel know the whole thing. Nigel know the whole thing. Take a look.
There was a press interview conducted by Travis Chase with former employee of Western Logistics who made a very startling allegation in relation to Minister Indar. And in that interview, he said that he had been directly paid by Minister Indar while he was working for a company that has been associated with the minister. That gentleman has since produced to us his bank statements, 3 bank statements, and I have them here. Bank statements for the months of April 2023, October 2023, and January 2024. These are his bank statements, in which, and we've highlighted them for those members of the press who are interested, in which Minister Deodat Indar has directly paid him his monthly salary while working as a minister. In that interview, again by Mr. David, he specifically referred to virtual hands-on management by the minister in the operations of the company, in which he said he observed on multiple occasions. In the light of the rules for ministerial responsibility, and in the light of our obligations to make sure that there is no conflict, we would invite the minister to explain why he would be paying the monthly salary of an employee of a private company with which he's associated.
Over to you, Deodat Indar. Over to you. Young man said what he said and provided the evidence. Over to you. You know them boys going to shield you for a long time until pressure bust pipe. That's how they do it. Until pressure bust pipe. And they want to know why the Corruption Perception Index is rating them how it's rating them. If you have these things happening, you got all of those international bodies here, UNICEF and, well, the UN on the whole and whoever else. All the donor agencies are here. They're seeing, they interact with this information every day. You think they're not on social media looking what Melly Mel say, looking what we see, looking what the other folks publish independently in Starbuck News, know about the Pui contract, know about Western logistics and all of that. People don't have to go and make this stuff up. Talking about corruption. In this press conference today with the People's National Congress reform, Ganesh Mahipal took Gail Teixeira to task. And this is his fellow member of the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly. Very important body that those guys and all but gutted. Because they don't want this scrutiny. They wonder why the index is rating them, how the index is rating them. They wonder why. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Ganesh and Gail Teixeira and who are trying to dumb down on this, the Corruption Perception Index report of 2024 that said them boys got corruption in the public sector, Dora. State actors have been captured. And corruption. Take a look. MP Ganesh Mahipal.
Gail Teixeira's defense of PPP corruption continues to ring hollow. Gail Teixeira should stop trying to defend the indefensible and focus on addressing the blatant truth that is evident to all. The PPPC is a corrupt regime that has failed to take any meaningful action to address systemic corruption and the blatant theft of the people's money. In defending her corrupt government, as highlighted in the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index report, she claimed that Guyana has, over the last 4 years, made serious efforts to improve its anti-corruption framework and systems, as well as to enhance accountability and transparency. We now ask the real questions. Having Sue in your living room making deals and facilitating bribery for contracts, is that the improved anti-corruption framework, Gail Teixeira? awarding contracts to contractors who did not meet the evaluation criteria as established by the Public Procurement Commission, while bypassing the lowest, most responsive bidders in favor of friends, families, and favorites who make deposits at a Freedom House. Is that improved anti-corruption system? Gail Teixeira, allowing ministers to secure government contracts through third-party associations and ensuring that PPPC executive members receive the majority of contracts in specific regions. Is that transparency, Gail Teixeira? Stymieing the work of the Public Accounts Committee, which has yet to examine any year of the People's Progressive Party administration, largely because this very Gail Teixeira, who claims her corrupt government is championing accountability, piloted a motion to change the quorum requirement for PAC. Is that accountability, Gail Teixeira? The last time the PAC met was in October last year. Is that the accountability you speak of, Auntie Gail? Instead of shamelessly defending the indefensible, the PPPC government should do the honorable thing. Admit that corruption runs deep within their ranks and take immediate steps to clean the house. The people of Guyana are not blind, nor are they fools. The truth is glaring, and no amount of spin can erase the facts. As for Gail Teixeira, it is not too late to choose honesty over deception. History will not be kind to those who knowingly enable corruption. She must decide, will she stand for truth, or will she go down as yet another willing accomplice in this disgraceful legacy of corruption? The time for excuses is over. The people demand accountability.
I think she makes a choice already. Something about it. I think she made her choice already. And you don't have no turning back now. It is what it is. No turning back. No turning back. That's how them boys operate. No turning back whatsoever. Let's get to a couple of things before we hit the top of the hour. Couple of things happening. I saw the Cinco has rebranded. They've been with Agostini out of, is it Barbados? I think it's more Trinidad. But they've rebranded now. They're going with it by a different name. Right? They're going by a different name. Acado. This is one of the brands, one of the companies that Agostini out of Trinidad operates. I hope I got it. I hope I got the country right. Yes, Trinidad-based Agostini Limited. So the Cinco now is going to be looking different. You know, I love to see when businesses are evolving. Good for the people there, the Abros of forming the Cinco. And they said they're going to be streamlining their business processes, and you could expect more. Not the kind of more GTT, not the kind of more, right? But that they continue to be dedicated to growth and excellence. And they're now branching out to all manner of business enterprises. Good for them. Good for them. We're happy. So we're following that too. And we made to understand there was a new court commissioned today in Mabaruma. What we found interesting is that the judiciary has unflurred. Is that a word, the right word for flags? Unflurred. You all help me if it's right. I'm all sorts tonight. I'm all over the place. A flag. Judiciary in Guyana now has its own flag. Believe it or not. We didn't see it unflurred. You all help me. What is it? We saw it on the flag staff, but we're happy nonetheless. So the flag features horizontal red, creamy, and black bars with the image of Lady Justice, you know, So justice is blind. So Lady Justice's eyes are covered and she has a scale in one hand and a sword in the other hand, symbolizing the court's commitment, Lady Justice, on the flag, unfurled. Thank you so much. Oh, you put a word there. Who, me? Yes, you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lady Justice symbolizing the court's commitment to upholding the rule of law. And it says this new flag of the judiciary, it's aimed at reinforcing public trust and confidence in the independence and effective and accountable judicial system. And I'm happy. Folks, the flag has been unfurled. Please and thank you. But what I love more than that is that the acting chancellor, the acting chief justice, they have not allowed that to hold them back. They have not. They have been producing the goods and moving the work of the judiciary forward. That is what I love. Because a lot of flags are unfurled. A lot of flags. But a lot of corruption happening. A lot of mismanagement. But you could see the administration of justice in this country moving apace. And I want to encourage our judicial officers to keep the pace up, Thomasina Ben, and continue to unfurl the flag. Please and thank you. Continue. So that's one of the things we're watching as we think you guys ought to know about the flag of the judiciary. Yep. Them boys selling dreams. We told you all about this before, but I saw it come back again today. I don't want to detain you all on this, but they're still predicting 1,500 hectares of cane to be planted at Skeldon. Folks, every year they have these huge targets and then they come and they revise them, and they can't even meet the revised targets. They cannot even meet the revised targets. Hence, I said, I want to detain you all here. I want to detain you all on their account for too long. And then we learn too, they're telling us, the Wales Gas to Shore plan is far delayed. 2026. This thing was supposed to be finished already, you know. The Wales Gas to Shore plan is supposed to be finished already. So y'all can get the cheap electricity that you were promised. Yep. A lot of people went, sign up for the ID card so they can register for the cheap electricity. They just didn't make it. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and nothing happening, nothing doing. Thoughts and prayers with all the families do, those who would have transitioned. If you're alive and you know him, pick up your ID card, please do that. Please pick up, play that trombone for y'all. Is it a trombone? Unfurled the trombone at y'all. Let's turn back to a couple of the things, folks, in those press conferences during the course of the day. I did tell you, saw some imagery of these soldiers being brought out of the Cuyuni River where the syndicatos shot our guys, 6 of them injured, thankfully, none life-threatening. But shot our guys, and they're so, you know, the court of public opinion is running out there. Take a look at that video we saw. Take a look. That's some of what we saw, folks. Respect and manners to our brothers in uniform. The Lines for Change had a press conference today, and the leader of the Lines for Change, Mr. Nigel Hughes, called for an investigation. He says there needs to be a briefing of the Guyanese people. What has happened? What transpired? Because we still don't have the full picture. Take a listen.
On Monday last, there was a very, very disturbing incident that took place on the Guyana-Venezuela border, in which 6 members of our armed forces were injured, some more seriously than others. We would have expected that by now the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Relations would have been convened to brief at least our members of Parliament on the incident, the circumstances surrounding the incident, so that all of us Guyanese can be on board, particularly our parliamentary representatives, in relation to what happened there. There is also a ministerial task force on the border. We would have thought, again, that task force would have been briefed on what had happened at the border, and that all parliamentary parties would have been brought up to date with what appeared to be a threat to our sovereignty, even though it is disguised as a singular incident. These are matters of grave national importance on which there is no difference between the political parties, both in and out of Parliament, in terms of the protection of our sovereignty. And so we are calling today for the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Relations to be immediately convened, as well as the Ministerial Task Force on the border. Again, as national parliamentary parties, we thought that the Army ought to have briefed by now, it's 4 days, all the parliamentary parties and perhaps non-parliamentary parties on the developments that took place on Monday the 17th. We are completely unaware of that, and at a minimum, the leader of the opposition should have been notified as an important stakeholder in regard to this. Additionally, there are several border communities which are now quite exposed to the actions of the criminal element along the Guyana-Venezuela border. We have not heard of what measures are likely to be taken or have already been taken to protect those vulnerable communities. As you know, most of those communities have probably a single police station with 1 police officer who is perhaps a civilian, and quite a few of those communities do not have even a police station. Given the fact that the reports suggest that 1, possibly 2 members of the criminal gang have been killed, there is likely to be some sort of retaliatory action, and we want to ensure that all Guyanese civilians, particularly those living in border communities, are protected, and that we have afforded them the best possible protection.
That's some of what the leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, said on that issue. We got to make sure our borders are secured, and we can only do that if we give our servicemen and women the adequate tools to get the job done. We got to do it. We just got to, as we wrap up tonight, folks, the cash grant, the scam grant, chaos and confusion. This point was made today in that press conference out of the PNCR. And you had a MP, Creda MacDonald, speaking to that issue, as well as MP Ganesh Mahi Paul. What they've been seeing, what the constituents have been telling them has been transpiring. And, some of it is just untenable. Some of it is just unacceptable, folks. Unacceptable. The closer, folks, as we wrap up our broadcast for this week. The closer, the scam grant, the cash grant.
Let me say, first of all, the People's Progressive Party had no plan. There was no plan in place. This cash grant was simply an act of, again, trying to cajole and fool the Guyanese people that they're offering to them some sort of relief. And so because there was no plan, and if we go back to September, I think it was when the president made that announcement in the National Assembly, where the president spoke of instantaneously, and then we heard after that 5 months. So that in itself is saying to us, they really did not plan on giving this money out to Guyanese people in a manner that is dignified. And so when the vice president is coming now to say to us, just the same way he said to us on his return from the US, what happened on the East Bank Public Road, it's the same way he's saying to us now. He's instructing or making a request to the minister with responsibility for finance to simplify. What the simplifying means, that should have been thought out in the first instance. And if that was thought out in the first instance, then we would not have had senior citizens standing in long lines, pregnant women standing in long lines, fighting, people fainting. We would not have had that. And so that should have been the first thought. What they're trying to do now is to cover their tracks because they've been lambasted from every angle. They're trying now to cover their spots. But we've said it before and we're going to say it again. What they should have been doing then is to offer the payouts via people's bank account. You have public servants, you pay them through their bank accounts. You have the pensioners, you pay them through their bank accounts. Those who don't have a bank account, then you put a system in place which will see people standing there in an orderly manner, where you're going to go from village or from one community to the next community. And then you have specified there persons' surnames beginning from A to E. Those are going to be distributed from 8 to 10 or from 8 to 12. And then we have the others coming from 1 to 4. In that way, it would have been dealt with earlier, rather than you having everybody lining up there. Persons with their surname beginning with S, persons with their surname beginning with Y and A, everybody lining up there, only to be told when you get in front of the line that your name is not there, you have to re-register. So this simplifying of the cash grants or the handout of the cash grants is just another way of the vice president trying to, one, pull himself away from the confusion that he himself would have caused. And he's trying to save face by saying we will now simplify. That should have been done in the first instance.
Just to follow up, on Facebook at least, we've seen at least 2 allegations of persons claiming that their checks were issued to other persons. Have you received such complaints as a party, and is this a concerning thing for you?
Well, we have said that the cash grants issuing of these checks is another form of corruption. And we are seeing it with the checks that would have been written in one person's name, and then somebody else come there and they uplift the check, and then they're showing you, look, you would have signed for this check. Now, we've received those complaints. And again, this is also linked to the voters list that we're talking about and having biometrics, because all of these are acts of corruption. And we will continue to highlight it, that the PPP is bent on being corrupt. The PPP is bent on voters impersonation. The PPP is just bent on making the system not work. And that is of concern not only to us as a party, but it should be a concern to every Guyanese across this land.
Okay.
So I want to add before you go on to the other question, that the first point is long before the cash grant announcement was made, the opposition said that there should be cash distribution to our people, especially from that windfall that we received via the party source. So the opposition supports the cash distribution to our people. We believe it should be more, however. And it is unfortunate that our citizens have to go through this amount of stress, chaos, and hectic behavior in what we're seeing to receive this $100,000. Correct outline that there could have been a better, more organized manner in which they should have done it. And of course, it is of major concern to us, noting that with these checks, there still is the room for there to be systems that are not accountable and transparent. How can you have a process where you're taking the people's photograph, you are pulling up all their information via their ID card. When it comes to distributing, now you have to make reference to those very things, but you have situations and cases where checks belonging to others are collected by someone else. It begs the question as to whether there is really transparency and accountability in the system of this cash grant. distribution.
You then demand an investigation.
Of course, it's necessary. An investigation is necessary. Jack Leo said that he said Ashley has to take it frontingly or something along that line. I'm paraphrasing there. But these are matters that they should have ironed out before you move into the system. And what Coretta said in terms of having surnames where people can go, it would have eased the burden, the stress, and the fatigue that our citizenry have to go through to get this cash grant. It is very unfortunate. I believe, if you ask me, people really invested more than $100,000 to collect $100,000. And that is very, very unfortunate.
Welcome back. Let's leave it there, folks. Let's leave it there for this week. Thanks for being here with us, all of you folks tonight. Fenton and Jamal, Asha and Pinky, thank you guys so much for spending this time with us. Do I see Raquel Gentle there? Do I see Raquel Gentle ringside tonight? Good to see you, Raquel, and all the other beautiful folks who are joining us. Pinky Haley and Dennis Champagne, and I see Marcia Agard. Iban Lamy is here too. Iban, have a great weekend. Tony Hack, have a great weekend as well. Get in some exercise, folks. Touch base with some loved ones. Spend some time with yourself. Be gentle with yourself this weekend. Long weekend, long Mashomani weekend. Happy Mashomani, happy Republic anniversary too. Andrew Griffith, Lucille Kendall, Charles and Deborah, Lester. Unfurl some flags, please. Please and thank you. Diane and Desiree, Charles and Raquel. Dolly, have a great weekend. Have a fantastic weekend, folks. Sheena, Audrey, and all the other folks. Chevron and Marlon, Eva, you too. Rami, Leander, good to see you too. Judy Holder, have a great weekend, folks. That's our time. That's our program. Stay safe.